Hey guys, welcome to Trooper Mentality Podcast. I'm your host, Prince, along with Noble Life, also here. And our guest today is Nina. You'll get to know her in just a bit. But I'm going to start, every podcast we start off with a theme, and it's usually by a quote. So our quote from today is going to be from Martha Stewart. And the quote is, "When you're through changing, you're through." Short, sweet, to the point. When you're through changing, you're through. All right. We'll talk. I think it actually plays into our main topic today, which is pandemic progress during the pandemic. Now, our guest, Nina, is actually the owner of Base PT, Base Physical Therapy, in Union Square in Manhattan. And also in Brooklyn. You have a location in Brooklyn as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
In Williamsburg.
Right. So Nina has had a very interesting year, interesting to say the least, as far as in 2020 and now going into this year. So Nina, just tell people a little bit about yourself, and then I'll get into kind of your story and what significantly happened to you recently.
So I am a physical therapist. I own Base Physical Therapy. We have two locations, one in Union Square and one in Williamsburg in Brooklyn, as Prince mentioned. We're a true one-on-one physical therapy location where we've really set it up where each patient gets one-on-one care. And that's truly like the way I modeled my business under, is to make sure that every patient gets one-on-one attention, and that also that my employees aren't like juggling multiple patients at one time.
Yeah, and I can speak as I've seen you before. She actually healed my shoulder, fixed my shoulder just recently, maybe in the last 2 months. I didn't know what was wrong with my shoulder. I came to Nina, and you did a great job pinpointing the problem like this. You guys are really the first thing I noticed about you guys, and I know Nina for a while now, but her team is super knowledgeable. They're always researching. They're always just finding more methods and more ways to do stuff. Super knowledgeable. I know a lot of physical therapists. I think you are the best. Sorry, everybody else.
Thank you.
Yeah, everybody else is great. All you guys are great too. Nina is the best in my book, and her team to me. So that's a fact. But all right, so so your business is running. You have to I guess around the time the pandemic started, you recently went through something yourself that had nothing to do with this whole pandemic. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. So February of 2020, so early February.
February.
Mm-hmm, I suffered from a ruptured brain aneurysm. So I was hospitalized. I was in the ICU for about almost a month. And then I was transferred to a rehab facility in the city. And during that time in the rehab facility, I was waiting to actually get a second surgery. So in February, they put me under surgery. I had to have emergency brain surgery. And then I was in the ICU recovering. And then once I got better, they sent me off to the rehab hospital in the city, NYU Rusk. And it was in the middle of that, I was waiting to have my last surgery, and it kept getting postponed. And the first time it got postponed, that's right when New York shut down.
Crazy.
Yeah, so like at that point, like I wasn't allowed to have any visitors at the rehab center. And my parents were like, "We're getting you out of the city. Like, we're taking you back with us to Virginia." So I moved back to my parents' home in Virginia in March of last year.
All right, so back this up a little bit before you, and we're gonna go into that as well. But back this up a little bit. Tell me how it happened and how you found out. And you didn't have any. Was there anything? I kind of know there was. Did you have any preconditions that you knew about that caused this aneurysm? And how did you find out you had this ruptured aneurysm?
I had no idea. So the thing about aneurysms that most people don't know is it's very, very random. There's nothing that you do that can cause an aneurysm in your brain. The only thing that's like a common factor is if it's familial. So if someone in your immediate family has had an aneurysm, there's a higher chance that you may have one. The people that do find that they have one before it ruptures are mainly people that like experience headaches. So they'll get headaches and then they'll go get themselves checked out. They'll do a scan, they'll find the aneurysm. And at that point, they can treat it before it ruptures. Unfortunately for me, I had no idea until it ruptured and I was in the ICU and I woke up.
Right.
Because I don't even recall the time it actually happened.
Where were you when you found out that it happened?
Oh, I was in the hospital. I was already in the ICU.
Oh, but you woke up, right? Where'd you, like, when did it happen? Where were you? Were you at work? Were you at home?
Oh no, I was at LaGuardia Airport.
Right.
Yeah,
and I know this
airport.
part.
Yeah, I was at the airport and apparently I passed out in the bathroom and I was unconscious. And, lucky for me, ambulance came. They took me to Forest Hills. So from LaGuardia to Forest Hills, I believe in Queens. And then that hospital is a little bit too small. Like their neuro department is too small. So then they sent me to North Shore in Long Island.
Wow. That's crazy. And, that's like, you had no idea. You were in the airport headed, and that's like me right now, just, something happening. Like you had no idea. You were living your life. You ran a business. Everything was good as far as you know. And
yeah, actually, I was coming home, and I landed. And usually, what I do is I come home, I take a nap, and then I go to work.
Right.
Because I landed probably around maybe 10:30 or 11.
Got it. Wow. So, that's just crazy. It is a scary thing. I'm sure that anybody listening to this, and even obviously for you who have been through it, it's such a scary thing to go through and not know, to not even know, to wake up in the hospital period is like, what just happened? And then you had to have brain surgery, which is crazy. How has that affected your business? And how did you process that along with the pandemic starting in March?
Oh, that's loaded.
Yeah.
Well, really, I have to give props to my team. So my team, my staff, they really once they found out what happened, everybody kind of came together and really just picked up any slack and did everything they could to make sure the business stayed up and running. That, and then on top of my family.
Gotcha.
So, my mom kind of stepped in and, started delegating tasks to my staff and making sure that everybody was taken care of. And then during this time, right in the beginning, I was, still in the ICU. So between my mom and my other family, my cousin, who also works for my company, they were able to pinpoint my attorney. They called him in. He came to the hospital, and in the hospital bed, I was signing, signing over a power of attorney to my mom.
Wow.
So she could, make decisions and stuff.
Wow. Well, honestly, I can speak to you, as a friend, Nina. And I've told you this already, but, you told me, I didn't even know it was happening. I think I just reached out to you maybe just randomly during this whole pandemic. I was like, hey, how's it going? I don't know. I think we connected somehow. And I'm just really glad you're here and everything worked out. And recently you got good news too, right? Because you got checked.
Yes. So recently I had my 1-year follow-up. I had a CT angiogram, which is basically a specific scan for the brain and all the blood vessels there. And that came out clean. And my surgeon said that the aneurysm that had ruptured is now gone.
Yeah.
So
awesome.
Good news. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm so happy to hear that. So happy to hear that.
Congratulations on that. That's serious.
Yeah. So, all right, again, from your that included, but just you as a whole, Nina, you still have managed to keep your business running. Whereas not a lot of people have been fortunate enough to be able to see their business to see the light of day, a year later now into this pandemic. But, you're still seeing patients, including myself. Your place is very COVID safe. You have all the protocols in place. You've adapted. And what do you attribute? You kind of alluded to it, I guess, but I'll ask you, what do you attribute to the fact that you were able to sustain business sustain your business during this time and not close down or?
Well, it's really, I would say my staff really stepped up. it really showed who was dedicated to the company, to me even, and also our patients. So the people who come in are like our clients essentially, but they're our patients. So our patients, you know, they were able to like single themselves out and really show us who made their health a priority even at this time.
Right.
So I mean, we also had to shift. I'm sure you guys as well. We had to shift. So we were doing telehealth.
Right. Right. And I
I
know
mean,
that. Yeah.
yeah, we still offer that option if you know patients aren't ready to like come in, but
yeah. But obviously, in person, you know, you can do more. But again, telehealth is better than nothing. So
that's true.
Yeah.
No, I like what you alluded to as far as, you know, the fact that it's basically team and community. That's the two big things that helped keep your business, you know, on its feet and thriving. And I think what a lot of people don't realize when it comes to business or business owners, they just see the owner. But in order for something to work as cohesive and in depth as like a bigger business, it takes more than one person. So it was good to see that you obviously alluded 100%. To the fact that your team came together and this just the community of your clients. Because I think you can relate to that as well, Prince, as far as how Trooper was able to evolve and stay on its feet. So.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's funny when she said that. I mean, I'm trying to hold it together over here. I know it seems like we're having just a regular conversation. One, I'm holding it together while Nina's talking about her experience of what she went through. Then I guess, you know, I'm tough, but even when you said simply when you said, you know, my staff and seeing who was really for the company and you personalized your statement by saying, and really, you know, committed to you as well. I felt like a lump because, you know, I know what that feels like to value team, especially I think now this year, well, this pandemic has really brought the value out in team, if indeed your team stepped up. So Noble, I know exactly the value in that for sure.
Yeah, no, for sure. But yeah, so let's go a little bit more in depth into the main topic then. Like, so do you feel like, because obviously, you know, Nina's business-based physical therapy and even your business, Trooper Fitness, Prince, and even you saying that how I'm an artist and I do different things, I feel like we've all been able to either sustain or grow what we were doing during the pandemic. So for you, do you feel like it's something that should have been a responsibility to business owners? Or do you feel like, you know, some people lucked out, some people didn't? Like, where do you stand as far as people using the pandemic as a time for growth?
Myself or Nina?
You can answer first and then Nina can go into.
Okay. Yeah, no, I think, you know, I think, I don't want to be insensitive I don't want to be insensitive when I say this, but I do believe that I think we're always in a place of survival of the fittest somewhat. And I think that, you know, the landscape changed abruptly. No one was ready for it with this pandemic, with things shutting down, with so many things going on, virtual schooling going on for parents and stuff like that. Some people had school as what they balanced, what they were able to go to work because they had their kids going to school from a certain time. So a lot of things that were like Jenga pieces fell for some people during this time. But I do believe that adaptation, resilience, and teamwork is very crucial. I think that that's those things really were what kept me afloat, and the community. You know, I think the fact that at Trooper, for myself speaking, our members, we have fostered a community, just not for any business reason per se, but maybe, you know, obviously it makes for good business, but really just in our model, you know, Trooper is all we know is go. It's not all I know is go. It's all we know is go. So in our ethos, we are all about supporting each other, being there for each other. And I think we genuinely, you see people who are friends who met at Trooper and are, you know, look to like they're gonna have lifelong friendships. So I think that, you know, if I can sit here and be arrogant about my work ethic and say that I didn't give up, which is all true. But I also had the supportive community, which was huge, huge as far as, so community and team, just we made it our business to not let go of any staff during this time. Immediately, I said, I'm not letting anyone go. So I think it all played out well. Oh, you muted yourself.
It muted for me. Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. And I feel like at times people, I mean, we all are like this where we give ourselves a lot of credit for our immediate business, but like you said, so many other things play a role, because you could say you didn't give up, but I'm sure there's many other people who didn't give up who just didn't work out for it because they didn't have those supporting pieces. What about you, Nina? What's your idea or your opinion on, as far as like, you know, people either personally, business wise, growing and progressing during the pandemic? Do you feel like this was a time for people to seize the opportunity to grow if they weren't already, or how do you kind of look at it?
Absolutely. Because, I mean, if you think about it, there's just so much, everybody just had so much time to just like sit at home, and they didn't have to be in the office. They didn't have to go anywhere. They weren't taking business meetings. They weren't seeing patients. They weren't, you know, training anybody. It was just a time where you would just sit your ass at home. And, you know, I think for a lot of people, you know, that all that free time, it's really like, how do you use that and make it productive? So it was definitely a time for a lot of people to be reflective, and they can reflect on, as like business owners, you know, do they think about like, you know, how resilient is their business, and is their business adaptable? So even if they didn't have to think about those things because their business was continuing, you know, to be successful even through the pandemic, like I feel like those are still pieces that, you know, every business owner and every business should have thought about during this time. And you know, if it's adaptable, then how do they adapt, you know, as a person personally? You know, business owners tend to be the ones that, you know, run around and do so many things. They're wearing all different types of hats. And then it's like, okay, well, you know, during this time, how can you create a better like business model that's better for them personally, and also like, you know, as it relates to like their family, their rest, mental health, all of that.
100%. I agree.
No, I definitely agree. I mean, I personally agree. You know, as Prince said, I try not to be insensitive because, well, I'm going to bring up the point. So there's a lot of people who say, well, for people who say that you should have progressed, or for people say that, you know, I think you bring up a great point. Everybody was at home. If you had some sort of passion, this was the perfect time to attack that passion. If you had some sort of plan and you were like, well, I'm busy all the time, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, then this was the time that you had to kind of game plan at least, and finally, you know, give yourself, you know, the time to, you know, go after for whatever you were trying to go after, whether it was like improving your business or starting a new endeavor, whatever the case may be. I'm 100% on board with that. But then there are a lot of people who say, well, we were in a pandemic, we're going through these hard times. So like, what do you say to somebody that might say, well, it's insensitive, or it's not right to expect people to try and flourish in a time that's been so hard for so many people? Because personally, and I even feel bad saying this, but from the time period that you consider the pandemic, I feel like has been one of the better times in my personal life, in my business life, with my music and everything. I've seen some of the most growth or success during this time. And sometimes I feel bad even speaking about it, because then so many people will, like, you know, we're in a pandemic, all of these bad things are happening. So what's your opinion on that part of it, as far as so many people are going through this horrendous time? Do you feel like it's right for somebody to be, you know, looking at it as a place where, you know, you can grow or be positive?
Yeah, I think what's essential, and has become very clearly essential, but I think has always been essential, is, you know, what you do does have an effect. Like the things that you do on a day-to-day basis, your daily habits, the things you do will yield a result. Every single thing you do will manifest something. Every action has a reaction. While there are many things that we cannot control, and this is true pandemic or not. Pandemic means we just know, it's a blaring what we can't control. Like that, the pandemic in terms of businesses being shut down, having to wear a mask, those things, we cannot control those things. But it would do, and this is pandemic or not, it is very important to always be aware of what you can control and put your energy there. You know, it's okay to talk about what's bothering you, what's stressful, you know, this is messed up, you know, your political views, fine. But your actions, whatever you do or don't do, is going to have an exponential effect eventually. If during this time that is tough for everybody, you decided to sit home and do nothing, it's not doing nothing, is doing something. You're doing something, it's having a negative effect. You're losing out. For example, and I'm gonna speak to this because I'm in fitness. A lot of people during this time have gained a lot of weight. A lot of people are in the best shape of their life. Same pandemic, same devices. Some people decided to sit, and it's not their fault. I mean, they probably didn't know. People have different paths, but well, it's your fault in terms of your actions. If you're sitting, binging, drinking, eating more, and not working out, and succumbing to the fact that your gym is closed, so now I'm not working out, and that's, then it's gonna have an exponential effect over a year. You're gonna gain 20, 30, 40 pounds very easily. On the other hand, if you make more time because you're home, you're not eating out, now you're budgeting to meal prep, and you are making time because now you don't have an hour commute to and from work, 2 hours, or whatever the case may be. That's a whole hour and change that you can work out. And if you use the time like that, it will, at the end of the year, you will be in a much healthier place than you could have been. So where some people see problems, there are also opportunities juxtaposed to it. So that would be my response, is that yes, it could take you down, but it's what you do with anything that yields the result.
No, I definitely agree with that, because to a point, even before the pandemic, have always been in this country a large group of people who have always struggled. So it's like we could have used that same excuse for them. Just because there's not a global pandemic happening doesn't mean people aren't struggling. People are struggling every day. So I do feel like for those people, we never gave them an excuse because we couldn't relate to it on a larger scale. I think it's one of those things where everybody is going through a hard time now. So it's kind of this idea that nobody should be, taking advantage of it. But I definitely agree. So did you have an opinion on that, Nina, as far as the people who say that, you shouldn't use this time to grow?
Well, I mean, if people say that, that's their opinion. I don't have any expectations on anybody else except for myself. And that's the thing. And that's how I live off. I don't believe anybody else has expectations on me either. So I just don't.
Nina's so awesome.
No, I agree with that. I like that response. I think the perfect solution is everybody should do what they want to do and shouldn't shame the other party. Like, don't shame me because I'm happy that I was able to take advantage, even though that sounds so negative, but take advantage of this situation. And then for people who took advantage of, I'm not going to speak down on people who didn't. Hey, that's you. You know what I mean? Like you said, people have different ways they react to things. We obviously all know each other. I've never been a type of person that complains about the situation at hand, just because life has always been hard. So it's like, I've always just known to, okay, life is hard, let's figure out a solution. Oh, there's a pandemic, there's this, there's that. Let me figure out a solution to the current problem. So I think, like I said, I don't want to shame anybody or anything like that. But if people focused on solutions and not the problems, I feel like a lot of people would find themselves in a better situation. I'm not saying that life isn't going to be hard, but you're going to be in a better situation than if you were just focusing on the problems.
Yeah, you bring up a good point though too. I didn't really thought about it like that in terms of, it's funny. We tend to, coming from where I come from, and you too, Noble, like just our backgrounds in terms of, we've overcome some odds, right, to be where we are. And does that mean that people who didn't overcome the odds are less than, or the fact that they didn't overcome it, does that mean that, you know what I mean? So there's something to be said to play devil's advocate as far as sometimes people don't know what to do. They're just not set up for whatever reason to know what to do, to be resilient, so to speak. But I do think, if it's very important. It is essential for people to be reflective. And I think a lot of people don't in this fast moving world. What's great is the world slowed down. But in the usual, especially in New York, the fast moving, the fast pace, I got to get to work. I got to do this. I got to make it. I got to, the next thing. And then even partying, I'm going to drink shots. Everyone's doing shots or whatever the case is. It's always go, go, go. And I think people, regardless if that's going on or not, it is essential to always recalibrate and to reflect and to look in the mirror. And I say this all the time, and just check in with yourself and ask yourself questions. I think that is the not easiest, but it is as simple as that. Success will find you if you find yourself. If you can ask yourself questions, you will end up, if you ask yourself the right questions, you'll be surprised the answers you'll come up with.
So just piggybacking off of this whole idea of pandemic progress and things that people have been doing during the pandemic. I feel like just me, I mean, if you don't know me, I'm on Twitter all the time. So I just see like a lot of things that are happening, or Instagram. And I feel like literally almost everybody I've followed has either become some sort of entrepreneur or business owner. How do you guys feel about that? Like in my head, it's like impossible for everybody to be an entrepreneur. Well, I wouldn't say it's impossible, but like, how do you feel about the idea of entrepreneurship becoming like this big thing during the pandemic? Like a lot of people were either let go from work or they were at home working, so they had more time on their hands to pursue, these other, things that they wanted to pursue. So do you think that everybody at some point should strive to be an entrepreneur? I could start with you, Nina, and then we can go with Prince. Like, do you think everybody should strive to be some sort of entrepreneur?
I think if truly that's what the person wants, then absolutely. I think though, for some people, it's really important for them to really ask themselves, like, what do they want in their career? If it's because they want to feel important or they want to get rich, that might not be the right like incentive to do it. Like, it's really about the intention behind it. And, I mean, I've like becoming a business owner, it's definitely not what everybody from the outside may assume it would be. Like, but I've even had the chance to like interview like young clinicians. So I've had like a few like young physical therapists come to my office and I've interviewed them. And I'll always ask them, where do you see yourselves like 5 years from now? Or like, what do you want to, do with your career? And I've had a couple of them say like, oh, I'm currently, working on my own like business, whatever. And like that's never been a threat to my business or anything. So I always like, ask follow-up questions. And the important thing is because most of them were like very young, like just fresh out of grad school. And, I asked them, what is it that you really seek out? Like what is it that you want to do? And, because they don't really understand that becoming a business owner is very time consuming. And there's a lot more stressors that you can't even imagine being a business owner, just by thinking like, oh, I want to do this. Because I've been there too. I remember when I came out of like even when I got into grad school, I was like, oh, I'm going to go to school, I'm going to finish, I'm going to work, and then I'm going to open my own business and I'm going to do whatever I want.
Well, Nina's a beast though. You're a beast. So,
but you don't think about like all the like additional stressors of owning a business and how like time consuming it is. And that's the thing, because like, young, and I'm sure like trainers as well too, but like young clinicians come out of school, like the best thing I did was I took a job and I was seeing like 20 patients in one day, which is absolutely too much. But it gave me the chance to like see all different types of cases. I learned how to manage time. I learned how to think fast. I really like, one after the other. And then after that, I took a job at a different clinic where it was like a mom and pop shop. I learned, how those were run compared to like a big chain. And I always tell like young clinicians looking, like, put yourself in a position to have like very specific experiences that will take you closer to your goal. And the thing about being a business owner, you lose out on that part, because like as a business owner, I wasn't seeing as many patients as I was in the past. So I was losing that. And then I didn't have time to do as much like continuing education. And so you lose out on that part too. And I just remember like some of these young clinicians coming in for the interviews, you'd see like this little light bulb pop up and they'd be like, oh, well, yeah, you're right. Because, I've only been treating for like 6 months. And I'm like, well, you've only been treating 6 months. How many patients per day? They're like, oh, like, maybe like 3. And I'm like, well, that's not enough. You really have to get your reps in just to learn your craft, learn your profession, become a better clinician before you even like market yourself to be, your own business.
Agreed. And then there's also, I mean, that I 1000% agree with all of that. And just to piggyback, like, then you have to talk. Look, I agree with you. I tell people the same thing too. Like if someone says they want to be a business owner and they come to me and say, hey, what did you do? I think I want to be a business. I want to run my own gym. I always say, well, what's the reason? What is your goal and why is that what's your why? But like to your point, you need to get your reps in, you need to get your hours in, you need to know certain things. But then also, I really do agree with getting jobs that prepare you, that can give you skill sets and give you perspective. For example, being a great clinician or a great trainer or doesn't prepare you for managing a team, doesn't prepare you for people, doesn't prepare you for, disgruntled, employees and customers, people who are upset. It doesn't prepare you for that. It doesn't prepare you for how to deal with finances. Now, so when you're a business owner, you are wearing multiple hats, as you alluded to, Nina. So, and it's okay. I think I would never want to deter somebody who truly is interested in being an entrepreneur, but they need to understand what it really is, because I think the way that's displayed, and to Noble's point, the way that it's displayed on Twitter and the way it's displayed on social media right now is this trendy thing, like own your own thing and don't work for anybody. First of all, I believe that everyone should be thinking like an entrepreneur anyway, right? I was talking to Noble about this briefly. And I tell my staff this the whole time. I was like, you should not need me and I should not need you. It should be a mutually beneficial relationship. So you should be building your value all the time. You shouldn't be afraid of me, because you should know your value. You should know that someone else, if it doesn't fit here, it'll go somewhere else. Because technically, if you're a trainer, if you're any skills, an accountant, you have a skill set that if you focus on it and you hone in on it, it's going to be valuable. And basically what an employment is a business relationship, in my opinion. It's a partnership. To me, I know that these words are not the way people display it, but if I have worked for people, I value myself. I know what I bring to the table, right? When I was a fitness manager, I knew what I brought to the table. I worked my butt off. I worked past the hours. I looked into getting more. I seeked mentorship. I got better at it. And I knew you definitely want me on your team. And if somehow I feel like I wasn't being treated right, I knew I had the option to leave. And I feel everybody should have that option. So I think everyone should view themselves as a valuable business in itself. You are a business. And the idea of being an entrepreneur and starting your own business that's multifaceted, it's not necessary to, if you want to be wealthy, you don't need to be an entrepreneur to be wealthy, right? And if you want to, you can definitely, there's ways to build your value and work your way up in a company, you can invest your money in other ways and have your money work for you. You don't need to be an entrepreneur, because being an entrepreneur comes with lots of stress that I happen to be I call it crazy by everybody else's standards. I love what I do. My personal love is that I'm a social butterfly, right? I like people. Like I don't burn out the way people do. I'll talk to 100 people and just love into every interaction. That's just me. Not every entrepreneur is like that, but I'm like that. And I love developing my clients, which made me a great trainer. And I love developing my staff. And now I love developing managers. And now, so I like the stress of taking the lead on things. I'm rambling now. But there's this concept that's in my head, right? I know my name's Prince and there's this joke in it. I have this concept where I want to be king, right? That I need to grow into becoming a king. And what a king is, in my opinion, is a servant leader. A good king is a servant leader, meaning your job is to serve your people. Not, people think about kings like, oh, serve me, give me gold, feed me grapes. That's not a king. That's crazy. That's a cartoon. A king has to make decisions that could make or break the whole country. The king has all the stress in the world.
Noble, you don't feed Prince grapes?
Apples. No, but so I think that people need to just really check. You got me, Nina. But I think you need to really just get people need to think about what they want. Again, back to looking in the mirror and asking themselves questions. You come up with the answers.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because once you've come up with like a very good incentive and that your purpose, you'll be successful, because that purpose is, it's like burning inside of you. That's what you want. And that's what's going to make you successful.
Right. It's like your North Star. And people always, and I guess I say people, I don't want to point the finger, but a lot of times you'll hear people say, I wish I had clarity. And how do you're lucky because you know what you want to do. It comes from having a relationship with yourself. And that's the secret, I think. It's a really small thing that is the base. And again, I think people don't realize that small actions have exponential results. Small things that you do over and over again, when you look at it a year, 2 years later, 10 years later, it looks totally different. You would never guess what it took for, like, Kobe Bryant as a basketball player probably did the same thing I did. I practiced and he practiced, except he did it regimented and did it consistently, and seeked out what he to do next. And it really wasn't like and him and everybody else who made it to the top, they just did small things over and over again. And one of the small things I'm telling everybody they should do is take time, stop everything, forget everything you think is working for you, and make sure that you look in the mirror and say, hey, Prince, what do you want? What makes you happy? When are you the happiest?
Yeah.
That's it. Everything else, it just flows from there. You have to have that uncomfortable conversation with yourself. It starts there. From there, I promise you that what's going to bud after that is going to be something. If you haven't done that, it's going to bud into clarity. Oh, you're lucky, Just stop and ask yourself, what do you want? Forget what everybody wants. Forget social media. Forget what you saw. What makes you happy? And do that. Because I always told people this when I was a kid, and luckily I had this clarity too. I've always been this kind of person, but I would tell people you could sell socks and be rich. I used to say that a lot. That was my thing. I was like, it doesn't matter what you do. You could sell socks and be rich. I mean, Bombas is a good example of it. Stance is a good example of it. They sold socks. There's not what you do, it's what you put into it. And like Nina said, if you can find your purpose, your North Star, anything can happen with it.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think, just back to the idea of like ownership being trendy and entrepreneurship. I think you guys hit the nail on the head when it came to a lot of points, but it's funny. I was on Instagram and I was watching these, reels just pop up, and it was this reel of LeBron James, and he was talking to his son's team. And he's saying that, it's funny because as a championship team, everybody needs to be able to accept their roles. And I feel like this works in life as well. I feel like American culture and a lot of culture, we idolize self, we idolize a person, but we don't realize, like we idolize Beyonce, but we don't understand the importance of Beyonce's team to her success, right? We idolize LeBron James, but it's like, I mean, some people do, but it's like Ray Allen had to hit that shot. You get what I'm saying? Like people don't understand that you can have impact without having to be the person or the guy or the owner. It's not about, just owning a business or being an entrepreneur. Because like I said, I feel like a lot of people have it towards a selfish reason where it's like, there's this trendy thing, like, I don't want to work for anybody. I don't want to help build somebody else's thing, but you can still be a part of something, right? When LeBron James won that championship, that's not his championship. That's the Miami Heat's championship. You know what I'm saying? Like people have this idea that if it's somebody else's business, then it's not for me, but that's not true. Because like you guys both detailed earlier, if it wasn't for your staff, it wasn't for your community, your business wouldn't be running right now. So that just shows how intricate and important people can be, even if it isn't their business. You know what I mean? So I feel like people need to escape the idea that everybody needs
That's true. And also, like, not for nothing, those businesses that we used to work for, like if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have been able to realize like what I wanted. If it wasn't for that first job where I was seeing 20 patients in like less than 8 hours, like really just burning myself out, did I realize like this is not what I want. And then also as an employee of that type of company, I was just like, wow, I'm not happy as an employee. Like that pushed me to being like, okay, well, I want to set something up where patients are being seen like really more intimately than, having multiple patients in the clinic at once. And then also not running ragged my employees, making sure my employees are happy and treating well and doing their best with the time that they have. Like going back to that, like those previous businesses, if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have found my purpose and what I wanted for my future and for my business.
Love it. I love it. That's true. And I'm here to say it shows. Noble, you've been to her place to base PT as well. And it just feels different. It feels the staff is happy. Hey, Prince, like it's crazy. It really is amazing. And I feel like everyone's so knowledgeable, so excited about what they do. You guys have a team where you can always refer to each other. It's really cool. And I love this backstory in terms of it's cool to hear why it's like that. because I believe you. Like, I believe that's, yeah.
And what's crazy is that, because this happens to me with the music too, and I'm sure this happens to both of you, people see what you're doing and they don't know what you did to get there. So they're just like, well, I want to do that. I want to do that. I can do that. And then they'll ask you, you know, how did you do this? And then you tell people like, it's not easy. Like, that's what people don't really see, is that it's very, very, very difficult. And people don't want to hear that part.
The reality is this, right? A lot of this, and this is why I said, if you want to be an entrepreneur, you should. First of all, I'm not even a fan of the word entrepreneur, personally. I'm really not. I don't even like what it insinuates. If you're going to be a business owner, you're a business owner. Everybody else is an entrepreneur by what the definition is. You're, you know. But my thing is this. I feel like you need to, shoot, I lost my train of thought. What was I going to say? And then set the thing up. That basically if people are afraid, people want to be entrepreneurs because they don't want to work for anybody. I work for like 15 people. My staff, I work for my staff. That's the difference. When you're an entrepreneur, you're never off. You work the company. People will talk about, oh, Prince, you own Trooper Fitness. I can say right now, in the growth of Trooper Fitness right now, and this is not, I'm working towards it being a little different. Trooper Fitness owns me. Trooper Fitness owns me. As far as I've worked my way to a success where I can take days off and time off when I want, but there's a point in the beginning too where you can't take off when you want to take off. If you don't do it, no one will. And so as far as people looking for this freedom, it's a myth. It's a myth. Hard work is everybody, whether you're an employee or you run the business, if you work hard, you create freedom for yourself, but it comes through working and responsibility. The Trooper Fitness owns me at this point, and I work for multiple people. Now, I don't have one boss. People that call me boss, say, Prince, hey, my paycheck. Hey, Prince, I'm looking to do this. Hey, Prince, I want this. I'm indebted to those people. I'm indebted to my team. I'm indebted to you, Noble. Every time you talk to me, I take it very serious. I value you. So when you bring something to the table, I need to make sure that we are on the same page. As far as not wanting to work for anybody, it's a myth. Forget about it. Forget about it.
Yeah. People make it seem like once you own a business, you can do whatever you want. You can take off days. You can do this.
And you work for all your customers. All 1,000 of them, whatever it is, you work for them.
That's why the why that you guys mentioned was so important, because if you're doing it for that, you're in the wrong business. You're better off getting a really well-paying job, taking your money and investing it. Because then if you're an investor, then you could take the time off, watch your money grow if it's a good investment. But that's why I really feel like, as business owners, particularly, if you're not passionate about whatever you're doing, it will not work, because you almost need to work yourself to the point that it doesn't make sense. Like, you wouldn't do this for anybody else's business. You have
to be a giver.
Yeah.
You have to be a giver. You have to get satisfaction out of giving. I get satisfaction out of seeing my people say, wow, Trooper Fitness changed my life. That, I swear, I know for some people, it sounds like the thing to say. It makes me way happier than money. Did I know that when I got into fitness? No. But I knew I fell in love with it when I realized that I got something I couldn't describe when someone said I affected their life in a positive way. I was like, wow, the importance, I don't know. It feels really good inside of me. I think you have to have that. And if you don't have that, it's okay. Everyone is not that. But that's why, if you don't have that, you're going to burn out as a business owner. Your why has to be. Or
you'll just get an aneurysm and your brain will blow up.
Way to scare everybody away, Nina.
No.
That's so awesome.
Be no more business owners.
There will be no more because of business owner.
Yeah. No. Should have left it like that.
Unrelated.
Yeah.
No, I'm glad that we got to speak about that, because I think that's something that's affecting people, obviously, still in this pandemic and things of that nature. I think this messaging will help people who are thinking about opening a business, people who are just like, should I stay at my job? Is it feeding me? I just think it's really good material for self-reflection.
Cool. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And there's also, I want to make a point. There's also no shortcuts. After I worked for 2 different companies, and after that, I was looking for another one. And I remember a group of doctors approached me. It was like a group in Midtown. They approached me and they were like, hey, we know you're looking for a position. Like, we have a group here of doctors that are ready to refer to physical therapists. We will pay for your startup to put you in our office. They'll pay for all upfront costs, and then they'd give me a billing manager, whatever. And I remember getting that offer, and I was like, whoa, this is easy. Like all I have to do is say yes. They'll do everything. I don't even have to come up with capital.
Right.
And then they were like, oh, but then we'll take 25% of like, so that was one thing. And then I was like, okay, well, let me think about it. And then I thought about it and I was like, even with like that 25% cut that they'll take, I would still make more than like working for anybody else. So I was like, okay, well, so that's the plus. But those doctors, that group of doctors, it was just a patient, like they didn't have the type of patients that I wanted to see. So my whole like idea of my business was to have like a very like sports oriented, like high level, high functioning physical therapy clinic that, you know, kind of worked with like athletes, just anyone that was very active. But these doctors didn't have that type of patients to send me. These were like more patients that would have been like more sedentary or elderly. So it just wasn't like the type of demographic that I was trying to target.
I love this convo.
Yeah, so I actually turned it down. I turned down the offer, you know, as appealing as it was and how simple it would have been for me to just be like, oh, all of a sudden I'm a business owner.
Right. Now, I love the convo, and it's cool because I'm getting to see what makes sense. That Nina, you know, there is a clarity that you have that I think is essential for being a business owner, and being able to weigh out, wait, what do I want? Wait, that sounds good, but that's not what I want. No, I'm not doing that. I'll figure it out. That's different than a lot of people, and that takes a lot of, you know, guts and willingness to take the time. So shout out to you.
No,
nobody wants to move on.
Yeah, for sure. So that's kind of wraps up our main topic and our side topics. Like I said, it's a conversation that can continue happening for a while. So if you guys are listening and you want us to expound on anything, just, you know, leave a comment. If you're on Anchor and you're listening, you can just reach out to us on @trooperfitness.com, @TrooperPrince, @NobleLife, @Base Physical Therapy if you guys have any questions. But let's go into the trending topics. So the trending topics are usually just a fun section in which we just speak about some things that I've seen on Twitter, to be honest, because like I said, I'm always on Twitter. And this next topic is really funny. Well, it's funny to me. I don't want to make it seem like not a serious subject, but just because it seems so bizarre to me. But I'll pose the question to you guys, right? So I was on Twitter and I saw a big rumbling. It was actually like an actual trending topic on Twitter. And somebody said, working out for a body isn't natural. So they brought up the fact that, because they were talking about how people shame, you know, plastic surgery and people getting their bodies done. But they were like, if you really think about it, working out and eating extremely healthy to maintain a body or to achieve a body isn't natural. Some people are just essentially born to be fat. Some people are born to be muscular. You really can't. And that's a little hyperbolic how they were speaking about it, but that was pretty much the set of it. So I wanted to just get you guys' opinion.
Where do you find this stuff? Where do you find
I'm on Twitter.
He's on Twitter.
I'm on Twitter all the time.
Are you on Reddit too? Are you a Reddit guy?
Reddit is crazy.
Reddit is insane.
Twitter is amazing place. It's so funny. But what do you guys, I mean, we kind of.
What do they mean by unnatural? Like unnatural as it's not like in human nature to like do those things to achieve that?
They were basically they're comparing it to plastic surgery. They're like, if you're gonna shame plastic surgery, then you might as well shame people that work out to maintain or get a body. Like, do you necessarily agree with that?
I already know what Nina's gonna say. Right? Don't shame anybody, right?
No.
Oh no, that's not what you're gonna say.
Yeah, absolutely. No, you're right.
Yeah.
You don't shame anybody. It's not our place.
Yeah, I have to agree. I think even plastic surgery, I don't shame people for it. I think that, you know, personally, I like to earn things. When I have something and someone goes, wow, nice, whatever, nice hat, whatever, nice. I bought this. I found this hat. Nice shoulders. Yeah, I work hard on them.
Yeah.
I guess they could say they bought their body part, but for me, you know, I prefer not to. But if you get it and it yields the result that you want, and it's not harmful to you, you know, and that, I don't know about that part, but.
No, I agree with that, but I don't agree with the fact that it's like working out is unnatural. Like I said, we spoke about this. Like technically, a bodybuilder body, right? Is technically unnatural, right? But if somebody's just fit because they go to the gym, they work out, whatever the case may be, I don't think that's unnatural or in the same realm of somebody getting their body done. I don't know. That's just me personally. But like you said, I'm okay with either party doing either of those things. But I wouldn't say that working out and dieting is unnatural. I wouldn't say that's unnatural.
I mean, I would say some people do work out, for myself included. I work out for aesthetic reasons, but I also know that I'm healthy because of it. I'm strong. If I build I'm also building strength. I'm building my ability to do things, keeping my heart working. I'm prolonging my health and my life span. So I don't think that it's just about the physical. It's a multi benefit, multi beneficial. I don't know. It's multi benefits. But teach their own, like I said.
So what do you think? Do you think that some people are, and this is a touchy subject, and you know what? I've actually thought about this before, because I don't know if most people know, but I was actually really overweight at one point, not too long ago. Do you think some people's bodies are meant to be like overweight? Like, do you think being overweight, because the main person's point was that people were shaming him for not working out, but he was like, it doesn't matter how much I try and work out and diet, I'm going to be this big. Like, I'll be overweight because of my genetics. And like I said, I'm not a scientist, but I don't know.
No, I think again, right back to, I bring it full circle. What you do, habit-wise, produces an exponential result. Nobody, even if you have a body type, which is ectomorphic, endomorphic, mesomorphic, meaning leaning towards your body creates body fat faster or doesn't make body fat as much. I still think you have the choice to use your body as you see fit. And I don't think that you have to. I don't think anybody has to be overweight. I don't think is it a different path for everyone to get anywhere in life? Somewhat. Like, it may be a little bit more, a few more push-ups for you, but I think people need to focus on themselves and their ability to control what they can control. And realistically, I can't speak for that person. I don't know who said that, but that also it sounds like a cop-out, honestly. But they should do what they want. They should do what they want. Even like smoking cigarettes is not good for you, but if you feel like you don't want to live to an old age, and you want to, think about smoking cigarettes. Now I'm thinking a lot that you smoke and it affects other people. But generally, if you're doing something unhealthy to yourself, just if you know what it does, that's a choice you're making. But don't say you can't do anything to fix it.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. It was just one of those weird, funny things on Twitter that I just wanted to get an opinion on, just because honestly, most of the people were leaning towards that person's side. So it was just funny to see where people's minds are on subjects. I think we're in a place where even going back to speaking about the pandemic and people trying to work hard during the pandemic, I feel like there's this thing that like people who like choose to work hard, or like, I don't know, it's like almost being shamed right now. That's like, well, no, you're doing that because you can do that. But the truth is, this is a hard time, so people shouldn't have to work hard. Or my body type is this, so no matter how much I work out, it's going to be hard. Like, I feel like we're in this weird place where like, I'm on the side of like, bringing people's problems to the forefront for why there is a reason why they're not doing something. But I'm also like, all right, come on now. There's like a line that we shouldn't cross as far as, everybody has the power to change their life somehow. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I think there's nothing you can do. People are going to feel how they feel. Like, I think we're seeing a lot of that with social media. You're seeing a lot of different opinions. And I think the biggest thing is to allow people to have their opinions, as long as, they're not harmful to anyone.
Yeah. No,
I want to actually bring up a trending topic that I don't think you have planned.
All right, let's do it.
What do we think about cancel culture? I just keep seeing this on my social media, like Pepe Le Pew got canceled.
Why?
He was a rapist. Apparently he was rapey.
Oh yeah. I mean, because he was very like aggressive.
Yeah. He got canceled. Yeah. He's gone. Which is weird, because who watches Pepe Le Pew these days?
I don't know.
You'd be surprised.
I was actually
I was talking about cancel culture while I was actually in LA. If you guys didn't know, I was in LA. But it's funny because one of my friends is an artist. He's a really popular artist. And he was telling me, well, I want to do this song with this kid, but I can't because he's canceled. And if I do this song with him, I'm going to be canceled too. And then he was talking about how he's canceled. But then he was like, well, it's weird because he still is streaming really well. And one of his friends brought up a good point. They were like, you can only be canceled if the person who digests your content cancels you. You know what I mean? Like, so right. Cancel culture is relative. And I also think it's counterintuitive because people try and cancel somebody, but they're really giving them a lot more publicity. And then I also feel like it's just like this weird thing because depending on what it is, I just feel like sometimes it's things from like 7 years ago, and that doesn't absolve them of whatever they did. I'm speaking in the case of, you know, somebody saying an unpopular opinion or something like that. And they'll be like, this person's canceled. And it's like, I know so many people who were, you know, young or teenagers and said dumb stuff. You know what I mean? People right. say dumb stuff. People have dumb opinions. So I don't want to just say that, you know, nobody should be canceled or we should allow people to say racist or demeaning things or, you know, one of the things that like rape, I kind of just stay away from that. If somebody is on that type of time, I don't really believe in, oh, let's not cancel them, whatever the case may be. But when it comes to other reasons I see people get canceled on the internet, it just really doesn't make sense to me. It's like, it creates this false narrative that you had to be perfect your whole life. And if you weren't, then you're going to get canceled. And no matter what you've done since then to help humanity, doesn't matter because you're canceled. It's just like, right. It's weird.
I think some cancels are BS. Like we just say they're canceled, but I could still find Pepe Le Pew probably.
Exactly.
And I could wear a Pepe Le Pew shirt. I'm giving an example. There's a lot of canceling going on anyway, social media wise. But I don't even know what that means. Like Babs Bunny, you know, they changed the way Babs Bunny is dressed now for the new Space Jam. So she used to be like kind of sexualized in terms of like even as a human dude, I was like, oh, Babs is hot. Like it was just she epitomized like hot. Like not, you know. So I think they made her wear like baggy clothes and like dress like the rest of the guys for Space Jam 2 apparently. And I saw Barstool Sports had put it up and showed. That's how I caught wind of this. But yeah, I also feel like there's like a cancel where, so here's my thing. So now it's like if you're canceling companies because of what the owner believes or because of stuff like that, I think that's a little weird and it gets a little, you don't really know. I mean, that's the culture we're in now. And I actually don't know how I feel. Like, you know, they say that I'm just keeping it real. I wear Nike and they say Nike use a lot of sweatshops. You know, they use a lot of sweatshops and they use child, what do you call it? Labor and different things like that. And it probably goes on forever. A lot of things that we don't know is going on. There was this meme or this video, and I won't go too deep into it, but it's hilarious to me. This guy was walking, he was definitely like attacking cancel culture. And it was hilarious to me. So he went to the supermarket and he was like, you know, they cancel Aunt Jemima and they cancel Uncle Ben. Let's see what else. He went to a Klondike bar. He said, using a polar bear to sell a thing. This is wrong. He said they're extinct, which, you know, whatever. He was being silly. But he went through everything, like breaking down how it's silly. It was hilarious. He went like through 30 things.
It was really funny. And that's the thing too, like, so I think that I try, because I don't really care, to be honest. Like, I don't care that much about brands and things like that, because I'm of the idea that people are hypocrites, because like you said, like, Nike uses, whatever we're wearing right now is probably coming from somewhere that abuses humans, right?
Right.
So if we were really like that holy, would we even have an iPhone? Like, you know what I'm saying? But then, you know, people then what phone am I supposed to use, right? But like the whole Aunt Jemima thing, like, apparently it was like a racist caricature. So this is my thing. I didn't care enough when it was happening just because I didn't really know about it. But to be honest, like, I wouldn't have cared if they didn't change it. But I also don't care if they do change it, because if that makes people feel away. Like, I just don't care enough to care about it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm here to fight, and not to say that is real racism or whatever the case may be, but like, I can understand why people would feel away about that, because it's a really popular brand, and it obviously they made this racist character of this woman who probably really did exist at this time. I understand why you would want that taken down, but I don't like the idea of cancel culture canceling it, because it doesn't feel genuine. They're just
just inform people and let people say, you know what, I don't like that. I'm I now that I know that, I might buy something else, and then that might force the company to change it. And maybe that's what
I think it just has to be more productive. Like obviously they're canceling something for something. Like okay, Pepe Le Pew's canceled, but what about rape?
Right.
In general, like how is that gonna like?
Right.
I think that's it. Yeah, I think you brought up a great point. Is that people can't cancel culture is meant.
You're censoring stuff. You're censoring, so now there's no evidence of what we can talk about and go, that's inappropriate, what Pepe Le Pew's doing. I think we watched it knowing it was inappropriate. Nobody was rooting for Pepe Le Pew. Like, we was like, he's bugging. Leave her alone. Like, we watched it in distress, right? Like, he's bugging. I don't know.
And like I said, I think cancel culture is huge in the fact that people want to feel like they have some sort of power towards something. And cancel culture is the easy thing to do, to tweet hashtag this is canceled. But like the real work, like you said, is like attacking like, you know, sexism, racism on a deeper and real level. People don't want to do that because that's like actual hard work. And then you don't really get the optics for that. You get the optics for being part of a canceling thing.
Yeah, I don't even know what cancel culture is, honestly. I don't really know. When somebody says you're canceled, I'm like, what is cancel? Is the company canceling Pepe Le Pew? Is the WB saying we're no longer putting out Pepe Le Pew? Because I haven't seen, you know, like, so I don't know. I don't even know what it really means. I just know social media goes, this is canceled. And everyone's like, oh, but who is the governing body?
I thought it was more like a specific individual, like not so much like Noble, you mentioned Aunt Jemima and Uncle Ben, but they're not getting canceled. Is it more so like the people walking around in Halloween with blackface, like those people are canceled, or you know what I mean? Or like,
I don't think they were, I think they were never, what do you call it? I don't think they were ever officially okay.
Yeah.
Maybe back in the day it was.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Back in the day.
Yeah. I mean, like, I don't think they need to cancel it.
People just, like I said, I feel like people latch on to something that's a little popular. Yeah. It's just like, I feel like a lot of it is basically optics. It's not really caring about the situation. So
there's a lot of that going on.
I feel like until, like Nina said, it becomes productive and it becomes like actionable items to make whatever the problem is better, then I just feel like it's like
just to make me feel better right now.
Exactly.
Right.
That's how I feel about cancel culture.
Well, I mean, like for example, like with like the Washington Redskins. I mean, aka now the Washington football team. So they didn't necessarily they just changed it, which I think is better because
I think it's a canceling. Like, they got forced into that though.
Yeah, so they changed their name.
Right.
But is that going to like infect like what Florida State? Is that going to affect like I don't know, like the Cleveland Indians? Are they going to change these things?
Yeah.
That's a good question. Right? Is it a law? I don't know.
I mean, I've always thought it was kind of wild because see, the problem is, I think a lot of things become normalized to us. So when people are upset about them, we're like, why are they crying about Aunt Jemima? Why are they? But to be honest, those things should have never been normalized in the first place. We've just lived through it, so we're desensitized to it. It's like that's like, you know, if there was a team called like, you know, the Brooklyn Black Guys, like that's literally what the Washington or the Redskins or you know what I mean? Or like the Washington Crackers or something. It's like, who would actually have a team like that? We'd be like, he's wild. Like, yeah, that's low key what we're doing with the Redskins.
Right, because they have nobody to represent themselves.
Exactly. So it's so normalized to us because this idea of Indian is so removed from our head because
I agree. Even calling them Indians is crazy because
exactly because they're not Native Americans. We just look at them as this thing of the past and like they have their reservations. So it's like, we would be bugging too if it was this other way.
Yeah. There's definitely a conversation to be had. We could literally go on forever on that, but there's definitely stuff where I think I personally feel like, whoa, that's ridiculous. But there's also some things that obviously we need to make changes in our society. So I don't have a hard stance. It's just really
it's one of those
radical responses and effective responses to things, you know. So
it's one of those things that we can talk about, like I said, forever. It's one of those things where I feel like general consensus should usually rule the day. If the most of the people feel away, let's just change it. Like it's not serious. So to close up, let's just go into a couple of new movies and shows. I know a lot of people, like I said, once again on Twitter and social media, I've seen a lot of people talking about all of the new blockbuster shows or movies coming out. I'm sure both of you guys have seen Coming to America Part 1, right? Did you guys get to see the second one?
Oh, I watched the second one.
I didn't see part 2 yet.
I've heard some negative reviews about it, that, I don't know, just give your opinion. How do you feel about the second one?
Well, compared to the original, of course, it doesn't like measure up to it at all.
Oh,
but I mean, you know, to put it on and watch it, it was entertaining. I thought it was cute.
It's cute.
But it was cute. But and I'll say it was good. It wasn't like, oh my gosh, you must watch it. I have other stuff that I've watched that I'd recommend over that. But
yeah, I've seen, I've watched a couple podcasts where they're just like, it felt like they dropped the ball and it would have been better if they just didn't release it. They said that it felt like they just tried to shove a whole bunch of famous people in there and like the storyline wasn't really consistent. But then again,
yeah, there were a lot of cameos.
Yeah, so the first one wasn't like this super in-depth movie in the first place, but I feel like with sequels that take a really long time to come out, I feel like it should have just either came out early or you should have just saved. That's like, to me, if they come out with like a Lion King 4, like
Bad Boys 3 was that.
That's true, but Bad Boys 3 worked.
I liked it.
Bad Boys 3 worked.
I liked it.
You're right. Maybe they dropped the ball.
Yeah, they didn't drop the ball. You know what I hated? I don't use the word hate ever. But I'm gonna I reserve the word hate for this particular. They really ruined me. Ninja Turtles, the new TMNT.
Oh, I was just gonna say that. Yeah, they
horrible.
That one. Yeah.
Not okay. Not okay. If I could fight someone over it, I would.
I didn't bother watching it. I'm glad.
Because it's not, I've never been a big Ninja Turtles person, to be honest.
Oh, I was a Ninja Turtle as a growing. That's a big part of who you meet.
Which one?
My character is baselined on Ninja Turtles.
Which one, Prince?
Leonardo.
I was just about to say Leonardo.
Yeah.
Like I know enough about it, but I wasn't like a huge like fan. But like I know all the Ninja Turtles. Like I know the storyline.
Yeah, I got shafted. I was Raphael because I'm one of 4 kids. I'm one of 4 kids, so like I was always like I'm also like a middle child kind of, so I was always like singled out. So like
but Raph was the favorite for most people, I think.
Raph and his little like.
No, but Raph's mentality now, looking back at it, I'm like Raph. I could resonate with Raph because he was like kind of gangster, but Leonardo was like he's like Superman. He was like Cyclops. He was we can't do that.
Master he's a leader. Said. Yeah. Yeah. That was my oldest brother. Yeah.
But I like Leonardo.
Donatello was the smart one, right?
Yeah. He was the least favorite to me though.
Really?
Nobody likes a smart guy.
I thought he was a nerd. I was like, he's cool. Like he can roll with me, but I don't want to be him. Like that, and I'm nothing against quote unquote nerds. But as a kid, that wasn't what I was aspiring to be. But you're right though. Now I'm like, he had a huge value. The turtle van, he built that. He actually probably was low-key the most valuable Ninja Turtle.
That goes back to our point, man. Everybody plays a role.
Boom.
No matter who you be,
there we go. Message.
Message.
And we're done. Bye, everybody. That's what it's all about now.
What about, is anybody here like big Avengers fans? I know they just announced the new Spider-Man movie. You know what? Spider-Man was probably my favorite Marvel character, but it's just the fact that like I have this idea of Spider-Man since I was a kid. Like the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man films will never be touched to me, but I do enjoy the new Spider-Man films. I have to catch up on the last one, but I'm definitely open to seeing this. They just announced it. It was like a whole big thing.
I'm with you. I like Tobey Maguire. Tobey Maguire, I don't know what he did wrong. It was great.
That's what I'm saying. So apparently he's supposed to be coming back for this one because this is the one where you enter the Spider-Verse, because you know how you have Miles Morales and you have all these different Spider-Men.
Right.
He's supposed to pop up as a Spider-Man from a different universe. So they're getting all of the different Spider-Man. Even the really terrible one where the main girl was Gwen and like she dies at the end. There was like a Spider-Man somewhere like 5 years ago. It was really terrible.
I will say
Tobey Maguire one.
I will say there's not a chance that I'm not watching it. I watch
I'm 100% watching it. 100% watching it.
But I'm with you.
I'll watch it. I'll probably have my brother watch it and then tell him to let me know if it's worth watching. He's usually my like.
Am I the only one that
filter
really misses movie theaters? I feel like watching stuff in movie theaters just hit a little different. At least
I miss it.
At least for me, but yeah.
The epic movies, I felt like it meant, you respected it. Like you needed to go, show up, buy a ticket, sit down, and.
I just feel like the sound system and stuff just made the movie feel a lot more epic than it.
It was an experience.
Than watching like Netflix.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm definitely going to get into that. And what about, so this is really popular on the internet again. Have any of you seen Snowfall? So apparently it's just basically a,
Oh yeah.
Snowfall is huge. I need to get into it. So many people have told me to start watching it.
It's good. Well, I watched season 1, and then my head blew up, and then I actually don't really remember much of it.
I cannot with you. I cannot. Yo.
So I actually tried to start season 2, and I was like, I don't really remember this. I was like, who's this guy?
Yeah.
I was like, who's that guy?
Watch it over. Start at season 1. I heard it's really good. Basically, it's about like the crack epidemic in the 80s, but it's not necessarily. It's about how, you know, we like monetized it. It's about the different gangs who are part of it, including the FBI. So like the main character is basically tied in with the FBI, and he's selling them drugs apparently to fuel the war in like Nicaragua, Cuba, or something like that. But it basically shows that relationship.
Is it it's based on true stories or what?
Yeah, so it is.
Yeah.
So it shows the relationship of how like crack didn't just end up in the hood. Like we didn't just wake up like a drug lord. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
So, but it's really interesting. From the clips I've seen, the cinematography is really clean, and like Franklin's just a bad
Why you said we didn't wake up as a drug lord?
Oh, I was talking about black people.
How are you funding your rap career, Noble?
I'm saying, like, frankly, like, we black people, because he's a black person.
I'm just saying.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's
I know you make money other ways. I know you make money, but I mean, you be coming with the diamonds and all. I mean, you know.
Oh, man.
I'm not paying you, but I'm like,
I don't know if you guys know, so I'm the marketing director at Trooper. They take care of me here, so yeah.
Right. Damn, I take care of you more than I thought. I mean, you be coming through new sneakers all the time, new everything.
No, that's hilarious. But no, I think it's something that I'm definitely gonna start season 1. I've been saying that for a while. I'm a type of person who, when I watch a show, I need to lock in on it. So I'm gonna start season 1, but definitely gonna get into that show. Heard it's super good. If there's any other shows or trending topics that you guys want us to touch, definitely just leave.
I just finished. It's on Stars, I think, or Showtime. I don't remember actually. No, Showtime, I think. Warrior.
Oh, you told me about that one.
Oh, it's so good. Yeah. If you like kung fu, it's really good.
Oh, I'm into that.
Yeah, you should watch it.
My whole life, so.
There's 2 seasons, and I don't know if it's getting picked up for a 3rd. I mean, I hope it does. I signed some like weird petition online. I don't know.
Am I making this up, or did you say that Bruce Lee wrote the story?
I think it's based on Bruce Lee's writings.
Wow.
And then his daughter is the executive producer on it.
Bruce Lee is also very monumental in my childhood. Like, if I wanted, like, Bruce Lee was, so that's a sell for me.
Yeah.
You should definitely watch it. It's really good.
No, I'll definitely check it out. But yeah, guys, so like we said, if there's anything that you guys wanted us to expound upon or talk about from this podcast, just leave a comment if you're listening on YouTube. If you're on Anchor, DM us, email us, reach out to Nina, reach out to Prince, reach out to me. We're more than happy to answer all of your questions. This concludes the second Trooper Mentality podcast.
Well, hold up, Nina. Yeah, before you run it off, Nina, where can they find your office and your and get your services, either virtual or in person?
Oh, you can email us at info@basept.net. You can find all the information on our website, basept.net. That has our phone number, emails, office hours, everything for both locations.
Awesome. Very nice. There you go.
There you go.
Yeah, Nina, thank you so much.
Warriors on Showtime. I just double checked you guys. Yeah. Yeah, Showtime.
The biggest takeaway: Warrior on Showtime.
Warrior on Showtime. That's gonna be that's the promo clip right there.
Yeah, we're not, and there is no, they're not sponsoring us, but it's that good, I guess. We'll see. No, thank you so much, Nina. Noble, thank you as usual.
No problem. Thank you everybody for listening as well. We'll see you next time. All right.
Yep. Stay Trooper strong.
Thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Yep.
All we know is go.
Yeah.